Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the channel. Fear and Greed Index still sitting at greed. We've got our next update in around 6 hours, 12 minutes. So let's move over to the price of LUNC. It's so important for us to zoom out, like I always say, take a look at the bigger picture, look at the dates, try correlate them with things, going back to our very basic core dynamic instinct on this channel. So I don't want to point fingers or anything, but I left around this time for my operation. Okay, so I left around here. All of a sudden, boom, we start coming down. Unsure what we're doing. And all of a sudden, I come back around here, which is crazy. But the most important thing right now is we are in a uptrend. The downtrend has been broken, as you can see. Got a downtrend going this way. It's pretty easy to see of lines there. Coming up a little bit, but like I say, tracking sideways, no real true direction. When we start doing this, especially when we're around the bottom, as we've been discussing in the previous video today, being around the bottom is so important because, like I was saying, it's where we as a community seem to have good support. It seems to be we're down to the true believers, the people who believe in the projects, believe in the cause, believe in the movement, regardless of the tomfoolery going on and all of the different things that are there to just simply distract you, put you down and push you through the dirt. The good thing is we are in a uptrend. We can see this quite clearly and it's looking like a healthy uptrend. And this is why everything's so important for LUNC right now, and this is all starting to come into focus a lot more clearer than it has been over the past few days. With BTC making movements like it has upwards towards 30k, the banking sector collapsing, Operation Choke Point's not really doing what it should be doing. There's so many different things going on. Japan's opening the doors to crypto. I'm going to be talking more about this later on during the week in a tinfoil hat episode, but they're opening the doors. This is a huge sector that is going to come flooding into the crypto market. This is why it's so important that we achieve parity sooner rather than later. And the biggest issue I find right now, especially being in one of these uptrends, is the amount of people that don't want to see this happen. The amount of bad actors that we simply have. We always have this thing, right? A proposal goes up, you respect the proposal. You don't put a counter proposal up until that proposal has had a yes or a no. It's too confusing for the community. People do it intentionally. People will copy other proposals and spam a load of. We've seen it all before. And the one thing we keep seeing every time this goes up is another proposal to match it, which is also a community pool spend proposal. And this is dangerous. It's dangerous because we could simply be split 50-50 and end up paying for two task force. It doesn't work like this. You need, regardless of your position, if you hate someone, if you dislike what they talk about, anything they do, if you hate their guts, you can't stand listening to them, it doesn't matter. Respect the agora, respect the community, allow the proposal to go up, allow it to be voted for, and if it comes back as a no, then you've got your chance to put up a counter agora, a counter proposal. You can put up an agora, of course you can, but doing a proposal is just, it irritates me because you've got all this spam, in here, and then you've got uno, dos. This is the one that we are voting on currently. This is the one that's in question. Yes, there's another task force that is putting themselves forward, but putting yourself forward at the same time, it's intentional. You're doing this just to cause grief. You see it across the agoras of people editing photos, getting personal, all these different things. And everyone seems to forget, when you look out at the bigger picture for LUNC, we've broken the downtrend. Okay? We've broken it. We're now moving upwards. BTC's looking healthy. Really healthy, tracking sideways. Lots of people are talking. When people start talking, people get excited. As we've been saying, these bull runs don't just happen. It happens over a course of time. You've got to be in it to win it. Parity is so important because once we've done parity, all of these different things that people want to see happen, if you've listened to the podcast, once we achieve parity, it's an open road. you're going to see the help roll in for projects. You're going to see all of these different things like on-off, on-ramps, off-ramps. You're going to see them bring our own Agora, our own mobile station, and all of these juicy things that we really want to see. They're going to try and increase the burns. They're going to do all of these different things. Gas fee sliders, anything you can think of that you would like. Okay, you can suggest that to the team. There will be a COC in place. That COC is going to work perfectly this time. I'm going to ensure that the correct information is coming back and they're not just ignoring community sentiment, as we know previously that they were. They have they have admitted to this in that podcast, which is it's really important, because how we bounce back from all of this is going to define us as a community. It's going to define the developers in the L1 position's future. It's going to determine how we as a community feel about them. It may change you from sitting with a kind of hate stance to thinking to yourself, well, that's actually quite noble. Pushing through all of the grief, pushing through all the nonsense, pushing through all of the FUD. Because what happens is people grab facts and then they trump them up. And then they become these way escalated mountains from tiny little molehills. Parity is the goal. And once we get to that goal, there's nothing there. Okay, there's nothing. So all of these different so we're paying for different devs at the moment. Okay. Once we reach parity, there's not going to be a huge amount of work. There's not going to be all this consistent little bug fixes and everything like that, because they're going to be looking to integrate us into the IBC system, jumping over to Juno, Kajuro, and having more liquidity flowing back into the blockchain, which is so important. You've seen this with Terra Vita. When you take liquidity away from the blockchain like this, and it's not like that's removing it from station, all of the actions that will be completed on Terraport, those fees go to Terraport. They don't go to the system. They don't, they're not subject to the same things that the system are. They'll only be subject to the basic 0.2% burn tax. They won't be subject to all of these different kind of things where you're hit on smart contract, because they've created their own environment. This is not what we want to see. That's why the Alliance module, getting to parity, is so important, because once we reach parity, there isn't not going to be this situation where liquidity is simply exiting the blockchain. It's a give, take relationship. If you take something, you've got to give something. That's the whole point of parity. We go into agreements. Everything becomes finalized. We get this open road. Getting there it's been a huge road, and there's been bumps. And when we're at the beginning of this road, I always like to think we are on a mountain range. All the way at the end of the mountain range, we can see this green pasture. We can see the waterfalls flowing, and we just need to get there. And we've been on this journey, and what looked like a very easy journey has got all these dips, all of these mountains and rivers hidden in. And what seemed very close starts to come out into this very long, outstretched kind of goal. But this is, I believe, all of this, the situations that have been planned out, the attacks that have been happening, they're so well coordinated. It's just simply because LUNC is in a position where it can flourish. It's going to become part of Alliance, and all of the things that are happening with Luna, DK, it's not good. It's not good for business. As soon as DK's been arrested, it was kind of like the game's up, really. For us, the story continues, and we are going to write that story as a community. We need to respect our devs, especially the people that have brought us to parity. The people that, when Terra Rebels were buying Roombas, these people were pushing forward, looking for solutions amongst the problems, not, regardless if they're hiring devs out, if they're paying someone else to do the work. If the team works, the team works. And there's this thesis that I've got that if we continue to keep changing, chopping out people, getting rid of someone because we didn't like what they did 1 week, it's just not going to work out in the future. We'll have no devs, no one want to come to the chain, and it will just be slim pickings. There'll be, you see where this is going. You've already witnessed it. What I believe is this is the start of a new uptrend, a new mood in LUNC, pushing past, not listening to, it's so obvious who the bad actors are. I don't like to name people or point fingers because it must be obvious. And if you can't see that for yourself, then you need to go and do more research. You need to pay attention to things. You need to stop going and asking someone for a response and doing research, because we can only educate people so much here. We can only tell you so much, and we can only lead you to what we're seeing and show you how we feel. And you know, the sentiment right now in the community, it's not been great, right? But we've been hashing things out in the correct manner. None of these silly spaces with people shouting and swearing at each other. It just doesn't get anywhere. Those kind of meetings would be better done privately, where there's just none of this nonsense. You're not under pressure and feel like you've got to be right because there's all these people listening, regardless of you being wrong. It alleviates that pressure quite a lot of the time, and it brings people out of that defensive shell, because everybody's got a defensive shell, right? Everybody wants to be right. We know this. Everybody wants a logo. Everybody wants a castle. Everybody wants a banner and a piece of turf. We know this. People are territorial, but we once were all moving in the right direction, and I believe now is the correct time for us to pull our big pants up and continue marching forward. Because if we don't, and we continue to swallow around, push around in all this filth and mud and arguments, we're not going to get anywhere. We're literally not going to get anywhere. And the L1 team currently, they understand that they possibly could be doing the next month's worth of work for free if they can't find the correct team members and things like that. But there's some rumors circulating. That's why I'm getting this video out tonight, to let everybody know that, you know, things are changing, moods are changing, things are going on in the background, and you never know what's coming tomorrow, as we all know. But honestly, parity is what's going to get us to where we need to be, where we can address all of these little problems, and we can say, oh, we want this, and we can start thinking about all of these things that are really awesome, like side chains and repegging USTC, because, you know, we don't have to repeg USTC. If it is, for whatever eventuality, tied up in a court case, it's proven that we should just leave it alone. It's DeFi, baby. We create another algorithmic stablecoin. Who says we can't? Exactly. What can you peg it with at the beginning? Well, the new stable asset that's coming into the cosmos, USDC, right? IBCs, parity, all of the things are now sitting there in front of us, and we've got all of these things to play with. And then the best thing is, right, we've got developers that are tried, tested, and ultimately we can trust them, because a lot of things that happen, it's just all gobbledygook. It's all just trumped up gobbledygook, and it gets whispered into one person's ear, comes out of their mouth, it gets changed. You know, you start off with the simple, he was in a crash. You tell it to someone else, yeah, so he spun out on the corner, and you know, it's ridiculous. New uptrend, new mood, feeling good, feeling happy about crypto currently, because I think what is really going to prove everything is moving in the right direction is decoupling from the financial sector, simply not following what the stocks are doing. All of a sudden the stocks are, you know, doing whatever they're doing, and we're just ignoring that and moving upwards, because ultimately the only thing that sways crypto is Fed rates rising, right? The basis points went up. Yeah, they always go up. Well, they always go down. You know, it's just a form of control, and ultimately it doesn't have an effect on us. We just allow it to have an effect on us. Positive thinking, positive manners, folks. Have a really nice evening. Stay humble, stay aware. Beware of scammers, beware of doppelgangers, beware of anybody pretending to be me. And we will catch you in the next one.